Hello, I'm Ebony Dern, Environmental Health and Safety Engineer for Earthworm Construction, and I will be facilitating the UV Protection Safety in-service. All employees in attendance will receive a free 12-ounce bottle of sunscreen and a free pair of Maui Jim Coastal or Ray-Ban sunglasses. Thank you for attending, and let's begin. Overview. After the conclusion of this PowerPoint presentation, you will be able to explain the following: the discovery of UV ultraviolet light, what is UV protection, the history of UV protection, why is UV protection important, and the risk of not wearing UV protection. Discovery of ultraviolet light. John Rieder, a German physicist, discovered ultraviolet or UV light in 1801 by conducting an experiment to investigate the existence of energy beyond the violet end of the visible spectrum. John knew that photographic paper would turn black or more rapidly in blue light than in red light, so he exposed the paper to light beyond violet, turning the paper black, proving the existence of ultraviolet light. What is UV protection? UV ultraviolet protection is used to help protect your skin and eyes from the sun's radiation, also known as UV rays. UV rays. In the chart located on the left, there are two kinds of rays: the UVA rays, known as the aging rays, and the UVB rays, known as the burning rays. First, we will start with the UVA rays. Notice the UVA rays from the sun deeply penetrating the epidermis and dermis layer and subcutaneous tissue, damaging collagen and DNA. This damage to the skin causes wrinkling, loss of elasticity, and pigmentation, and is 50 times more prevalent than UVB rays. UVB rays mostly affect the outer layer of the skin, causing sunburns and tanning that increase the risk of skin cancer. The radiation is higher during the summer and during midday, but has the potential to burn and cause damage year-round. The chart located to the right shows a before and after of DNA damage from incoming UV photon, which possesses enough energy to disassociate or mutate a strand of human DNA. Another ray not illustrated on the chart is UVC rays, known as ultraviolet C. It is the strongest and deadliest of solar rays. However, the ozone layer stopped the rays from reaching the Earth, preventing damages to the skin. The history of UV protection. UV protection is credited to four men: Milton Blake, Eugene Schiller, Franz Grider, and Benjamin Green. Milton Blake, an Australian chemist, is credited with being the first to experiment with sun protection, and in 1932 established Hamilton Laboratories and began commercially production of the sunscreen. Eugene Schiller, a chemist and founder of L'Oreal Cosmetics, created and marketed his cream in 1936. Franz Grider, an Australian scientist known as the true inventor of sunscreen, introduced glacier cream in 1938. And Benjamin Green, a Florida physician, invented the first effective sunblock to protect GIs in the South Pacific during World War II from sunburn. And in 1942, Copperstone suntan cream was the first commercially mass-produced sunscreen in the United States. Why is UV protection important? UV protection is important to help prevent damage to the skin in areas of the eye, including the eyelids, cornea, lens, and retina. Damages to the skin. Let's take a look at this chart of personal exposure to UV. The green line is curved from left to right, with the left being low, causing vitamin D deficiency, bone disease, and an increased risk of some internal cancers. The right being high causes skin damage, increasing the skin cancers and premature skin aging. Skin chart. This is a diagram of a skin chart illustrating the risk associated with pigmentation and melanin in the skin. The UV phenotype range from UV sensitive, burned rather than tan, and UV resistant, tan and never burned. However, contrary to popular belief, all shades of people should wear UV protection to protect themselves against the sun's radiation. Major risk factors. Risk of sun exposure have two major risk factors, which are sunburn and skin cancer. In the next couple of slides, we will discuss both risk factors. Sunburn. The first risk factor is sunburn, caused by the UVB rays as seen on the previous slide. Sunburn is when the skin is exposed to the sun for a longer period of time. Symptoms may include red, warm, and tender skin, swollen skin, blistering, headache, fever, nausea, and fatigue. Skin cancer. The second risk factor is skin cancer, also often caused by UV rays. There are three types of skin cancers: basal cell, squamous cell, and melanoma. Basal cell is the most common but least dangerous form of skin cancer. Squamous cell is not as dangerous as melanoma, but may spread to other parts of the body if not treated. The most serious skin cancer is melanoma, killing an estimated 10,130 people in the United States annually. Skin cancer symptoms. The symptoms for skin cancer may include irregular borders on moles, moles that are not symmetrical, colors on the mold that are not uniform throughout, moles that are bigger than a pencil eraser, sores that bleed and do not heal, itchy or painful moles, red patches or lumps, and new moles. Keep in mind these symptoms are often caused by UV rays, and if you see these changes, a health specialist should be seen immediately. What does skin cancer look like? Pictured are the three different types of skin cancers: for melanoma, nodular melanoma, which is a highly dangerous form of melanoma that looks different from common melanomas, basal cell, and squamous cell. Damages to the eye. UV radiation can also cause damages to the eyes, causing eyelid skin cancer, retina macular degeneration, pterygia growths on the whites of the eyes, lens cataracts, cornea conjunctiva, and corneal burn photokeratitis. Personal protective equipment. Next, we'll discuss personal protective equipment, also known as PPE. Key steps to protect yourself include application of sunscreen, wearing a long sleeve shirt, hat, long pants, and covering your eyes and skin around your eyes with sunglasses. Personal protective equipment chart. This is a personal protective equipment chart, or PPE chart, also illustrating the UV index across the very top, showing UV ratings from low to high. The more severe the UV ratings, the more UV protection equipment needed. Notice all 5 columns require sunglasses, sunscreen, a hat, and protective clothing for low to extreme UV ratings. However, the last 4 columns have a UV rating of moderate 3 to 5 and extreme 11 plus, requiring shade during the hours of 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. For construction workers, shade may not be an option, so the first column will need to be implemented throughout the workday while in the sun. At the bottom of the page, I provided the website for the U.S. Environmental Protective Agency for anyone who would like to locate the UV Index application for a geographic location. Download the UV Index application to your smartphone or to sign up for the UV Index email alert. Personal protective equipment on the worksite. Next, we have examples of what should be worn and seen on a worksite. Keep in mind, UV protection must be worn at all times while on the worksite to prevent damage to the skin and eyes. Precautions on the worksite. Please note, when the UV index reaches extreme heat with a rating of 12, as a precaution, all job duties are suspended until further notice. For more information, consult with your direct supervisor or manager on how to receive notification regarding postponement or job cancellations. UV protection statistics. This statistics chart is from the National Health Interview Survey, Public Use Data File 2005, National Center for Health Statistics, and Center for Disease Control and Prevention 2006. As you can see on the left is the percentage of prevalent measurements for adults 18 and older of male and female population in the United States in 2005. The data measure ultraviolet radiation exposure, a behavior related to UV protection. The blue represents the male population, the green represents the female population, and the red is the total of both male and female population. The female population have a much more higher prevalence in some areas of using UV protection than the male population. Skin cancer statistics. This skin cancer statistics chart illustrates the percentage of skin cancer in men and women in the United States. The first row shows 30% of men are aware of skin cancer warning signs compared to 41% of women. The second row reported 44,250 men had 58% of new diagnosis cases of melanoma in 2012, compared to 32,000 women of a reported 42% of new cases. The third row reported 6,060 men deaths from melanoma in 2012, compared to 3,120 women deaths. Video on UV protection. This slide is a link to a brief video on UV protection, Nivea Sun, and visible protection against UV sun damage. Standards. There are not many standards for UV protection. However, the Food and Drug Administration, FDA, regulates standards for testing the effectiveness of sunscreen products. The Occupational Safety and Health Administration, OSHA, does not have a special rule for heat, but because heat stress is known as a serious hazard, workers are protected under the General Duty Clause of the Occupational Safety and Health Act, and the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, have no standards or regulations. However, safety tips are provided on the website. References. The next 3 slides are references used for this PowerPoint presentation. This will conclude our presentation on UV protection. Again, I'm Ebony Durant, Environmental Health and Safety Engineer for Earthworm Construction. If you have any questions regarding the presentation or information on UV protection, I can be reached by email at ebonycd@earthwormconstruction.com or by phone at 501-555-SAFE. Also, please don't forget to register your attendance to receive a free 12-ounce bottle of sunscreen and free pair of Maui Jim, Costa, or Ray-Ban sunglasses. I would like to thank you again for attending, and remember to be safe and wear UV protection.